Is now Republican Senator from Wyoming, Cynthia Lummis, a proponent of digital asset legislation. I still think, good to see you, and it's great to have you in studio as well, Senator, but I still think that people that are proponents of crypto have to feel good about what's happened in the last 6 months or year, even though the legislation is still not here.
Yeah, we still continue to work for a digital framework here in the United States. The European Union's ahead of us.
Oh, you know what, Senator? We dropped your mic. Let's just pick that up so we can hear what you're saying.
The European Union's ahead of us. They began to regulate very effectively in January of 2023. So we're behind the 8 ball here, and the United States should never let other countries get ahead of us with regard to financial services.
Watching how it's played out has been odd, right? It involves the gentleman we just played a soundbite from, that's Chair Gensler, and almost dragged kicking and screaming after court decisions and then ETFs, et cetera, too, where I thought yesterday he seemed a little bit less hostile to Bitcoin and maybe some of the top tier.
The way he explained it yesterday is that this will not thrive unless it's heavily regulated. Not heavily regulated, he didn't say, but it won't thrive unless the regulations are set up and the path is clear. I think you would probably agree with that. I think the disconnect has been on who gets to regulate it and what the rules are going to be.
Absolutely, and the Congress needs to regulate this and weigh in. You know, some of the problem has been that the SEC has said, well, we have all the tools we need to regulate it, but the way they've applied them has brought about court cases. Instead of regulating by making clear rules of the road for the industry, they're regulating by enforcement action. And so when they bring enforcement actions with penalties against the industry, and it doesn't have a clear understanding of what it's done wrong.
The default position is that there are bad actors.
Exactly.
There are, and he does, I've thought.
There were a lot of worse actors.
Well, when he's come on, he always seems to conflate some of the firms that are bad actors and maybe offshore, and they're dealing with the digital, but he conflates the digital assets themselves with the bad actors that are, kind of bucket shops that aren't even located here. But it's not the digital. That's like not liking, NASDAQ stocks because there used to be pink sheets all the time. So
you can commit fraud with yachts, with art, with coins, with minerals. It's not the asset itself that is fraudulent.
Do you think he's conflated the two? Don't you think he has?
In some instances, yes, I do. Yeah.
Andrew.
Oh, sorry.
Tell me. Okay.
I thought he was waving.
Maybe he was just waving. Hey, Andrew.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Oh, he is. Look, that's
there,
nice.
Yeah.
He wants to stay on no matter what happens in the presidential election. I'm talking about Chair Gensler. You see that? What do you make of that? He loves the job.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Especially, of course, if Donald Trump is.
But you don't think president. It would happen under Kamala Harris?
I don't know. Gary Gensler's view of trying to keep control of so much about digital assets, characterizing them as securities and all the companies that deal with them as securities, doesn't recognize adequately that Bitcoin's a commodity, Ethereum's a commodity, and perhaps other digital assets are. We need to have a clear definition. The Howey test is available to us, and as it has been updated, there may be other assets just besides Bitcoin and Ethereum that would qualify for the jurisdiction of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission.
The rub on that, and this will drive Russ Benham crazy to hear it, but the rub on that is that the CFTC would have a lighter touch because it doesn't have as many employees who can be doing the oversight on these things. What do you say back to that?
Well, one of the things that Senator Gillibrand and I proposed is that the wash sale rule be changed to provide adequate funding to have enough personnel at the CFTC to adequately regulate.
Do you, just shifting gears quickly, before, I guess we have about a minute left, it now, at least according to consensus, is that the Senate goes Republican, but the House perhaps goes Democrat, and a lot of people are hanging their entire investing future on that because of divided government. They don't want on either presidential candidate, and they're hanging their hat on divided government, which is nice, isn't it? Where for investments, it's better if Congress and the White House doesn't do anything. That's always a better default position than when the government gets involved, which is odd. Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Well, it's certainly not true that it's going to be better for digital assets. I think what's going to be better for digital assets is if the Senate is Republican. That's definitely true because Tim Scott will chair the Banking Committee, and he's much more interested in seeing a statutory framework for digital assets than is the current chairman, Sherrod Brown. So it would be very important and it's important for artificial intelligence that Ted Cruz become chairman of Commerce. He's proven that he's a high-quality legislator and not just a high-quality communicator. He's the full meal deal.
Can you give me your wild card picks for what might surprise people in the Senate races? What would be a big? I guess Montana goes. Right?
Yeah, I think we're going to win Montana. I do think the Republicans are going to win the majority in the Senate.
Where else besides Montana? What about Ohio?
We're going to win Ohio, I believe.
You think so?
I do.
Where do you think you're going to lose?
Where do we think we're going to lose?
She won't tell you. Don't say that.
I think we're going to hang on to all of our incumbents. It's still it's still 50-50 in Nevada and Arizona, but we've got a shot in Michigan. As you know, Maryland is up for grabs, which would be Pennsylvania definitely up for grabs. These races are within the margin of error right now, all of them. The ones that are starting to break out a little bit are Montana and, of course, West Virginia.
Investors we talk to say that whatever happens, David Tepper said this yesterday, he doesn't care as long as it's split. He doesn't want control of Congress to also be in the same party that wins control of the White House because he thinks each party has extreme ideas that if they're...
Well, if you had, all you need is one, really.
But the margins are so thin.
If the House was Democrat, you could have Trump in a Republican
right.
Senate.
He just doesn't want to see all three go to the same party.
Well, I might agree with them if there were bigger margins in the House, but regardless of who wins the House, it's going to be a squeaker for either party.